Yo, what's up everybody? It's your boy Floss, back again with another video. And today we're going to do a quick unboxing of the brand new OnePlus One. Alright, now there's been a lot of hype around this phone. It's been labeled as a flagship killer. So let's see if it can live up to all that hype. Now there's two things about this phone that make it a flagship killer, so they claim. The price and the specs. And you can't argue with either one of those. The price for this, $300 for the 16 gig version, $350 for the 64 gig version. That's automatic win status right there. But what separates this from a lot of the other phones that cost that price is the specs. These are flagship specs. All right, so let's unbox it real quick, and then we'll get into all the specs and get some first impressions. Now, when you get it in the mail, you're going to get two boxes. You get one like this and a box like this. Now, of course, I had to open it up and play with it already, but just for dramatic effect, I threw it back in the box just so y'all can see what you're going to get when you first get it. Now, presentation. The presentation on this packing is a go. All right, it's beautiful. It's actually better than some of the other phones that I got that I bought off contract for $700, $800. I won't name them. iPhone, Samsung, Galaxy, whatever. This has a beautiful presentation. Only one that's just as good as this, I would say Htc M8. That was a nice presentation. Is that a big deal for you? Might be. Might just be. Now, I got the Sandstone Black, so this is a 64 gig version. And this is what it looks like. So let's take it out the sleeve. Beautiful presentation. Just get that OnePlus logo. Nice and simplistic, and I like it like that. Inside, now you get the actual device. Okay, you get the OnePlus logo and the device. And you pop that out. You get your USB charging cable, which has this nice little connection belt right here. So this way you don't have to worry about it getting tangled up. And if you look at the USB cord, it's one of those flat cords. So it's not going to get all tangled up anyway because it's flat. And if you look at the end of the cord, you see you got your OnePlus logo on it. Somewhere around here. Probably on the other side. Here we go. You got your OnePlus logo right here. And you got this new kind of style connection end. Now, it kind of looks like the new iPhone connections, but this is basically just a micro USB. Now, I know for sure that a regular micro USB will work because when I got this, I never took this out the box yet, and I already charged up the phone, and I charged it up using my Htc M8 cord. So this just looks fancy, but it's basically just a regular micro USB cable, but it looks nice. The red and white theme just looks beautiful. And like I said, you don't have to worry about this getting tangled up because it's flat. And also has this little belt sleeve right here too. So that's a good look right here. Also inside the box, you get your SIM ejection tool. Now this one is a little bit bigger than some of the other ones that you've seen before. But it's nice. It comes with a nice little rubber carrying sleeve. You could also put this right on your keychain, but we don't really need that right now. But you can put this right on your keychain. So if you're one of those cats that walk around with a bunch of phones and you're sharing the same SIM card with each of your phones, put this on your keychain. This way, when one battery dies and you want to switch to the next SIM card, pull out your keychain and pop it right out. You're not going to looking for safety pins and all that other stuff to change it out. So that's what you get inside the box. Looks real smooth, beautiful presentation. Now, in the other box, you're going to get your wall charger. Now you can see I never even opened this up yet. Let me pull out the little Hawk real quick. Got the zombie Hawk on deck. No beast mode today, fellas. Alright, this is what you get inside of this box. Now this is your wall charger. Basic wall charger, looks like a little mini brick, but you get your OnePlus logo on it. So keep everything themed red and white. USB connection right here. Alright, so this is a good look right here. This is what you get inside the packing. Now, the theme of this whole video is the price and the specs. All right, so keep that in mind for this whole video. The price and the specs. The price, now this is a 64 gig version, $350. All right, you ain't really going to find nothing with these kind of specs in the market right now for this price other than the Nexus 5. Now, the Nexus 5 you could get for $350, but you're getting a 16 gig version. You get a Moto, what is it, the Moto G, whatever. Those is a little bit lower than this or whatever, but $350, you're getting flagship specs, and you're getting that beautiful price. All right. Now you can get $300 if you want for a 16 gig version, but there's no micro SD card slot in this. So why not pay the extra $50 and you get 64 gigs? And everybody who got all these phones nowadays, 64 gigs is plenty of gigs. That's enough. You won't need any extra storage. Now let's look at the phone itself. Beautiful display. Now, y'all know I don't really like to talk about specs and all that too much, but since this is an unboxing video, you know we got to get into the specs. So let's run through all the specs real quick. The display. You got a 5.5-inch 1080p display. It's IPS, which means it's 1920 by 1080, 401 on the PPIs, blah, blah, blah. What does that mean? That means that this is the same display that you're going to get on your Galaxy S5, same display on your Htc M8. Beautiful picture quality. All right, beautiful display. The price, $350. All right, keep that in mind. All right, now let's talk about inside specs. Now you got a Snapdragon 801 quad-core processor, which clocked in at 2.5 gigahertz. As the Adreno 330 GPU. Like I said, it comes in 16 gig or 64 gig. Why not get the 64 gig? Spend that extra $50. Trust me, you'll be sorry if you spend $300 and get a 16 gig and you run out of space. You'll be sorry, especially for $50 more. It's not like $50 more when when you go from phones like iPhones and other phones that don't have expendable memory. Normally it goes from 16 gig to 32 gig to 64 gig. And each next set will either be $50 or $100. Now you already know how it goes with iPhones. You're gonna spend $100 for each next set. So this one right here, you spend an extra $50, you get the 64 gig version. Now this phone also has 3 gigs of RAM, which makes it equivalent to some of the Samsung phones that's out right now. Even your HTC M8 only has 2 gigs of RAM. A lot of your other phones, your Nexuses and your Motos, they only have 2 gigs of RAM. So now you got 3 gigs of RAM. So far when it comes to specs, that's definitely flagship specs right there. Battery-wise, you got a 3100 milliamp battery. So that's a big giant battery in here. You shouldn't have no problem rocking this all day. We got to put it to the test for ourselves, but 3100 milliamps, that's pretty good. That should last you all day. Basically maybe 6-7 hours with heavy use. And y'all know when I say heavy use, I'm talking about online warrior status, beast mode status, Instagram, Facebook, all day status. Yeah, then you're probably going to be looking at 5 to 6 hours. We'll put it to the test when I do the real review. I give y'all all the full numbers. Camera-wise, on the back, you got a 13 megapixel camera with dual LED flash. On the front, you got a 5 megapixel camera, perfect for the selfies. All right, now a lot of these phones out right now only got 2 megapixel cameras in the front. Now, front-facing cameras, they're never going to be as good as the back-facing cameras, but 5 megapixel camera, that's pretty good. Because I just remember a couple of years ago when 5 megapixel was on the back. So, you know what I'm saying? So now you got 5 megapixel on the front, perfect for the selfies. And keep in mind now, you got 4K video on this. All right, so you can shoot video in 4K, and you can also shoot 720 slow motion. All right, so we'll get into that more in the real review. Now, it's running Cyanogenmod 11S on top of Android 4.4.2. So almost the latest version of Android, but it's running the CM11. Now, if you don't know about Cyanogenmod, look, all you got to do is just Google some information on that. We ain't going to get too deep into that. But Cyanogenmod is basically another form of Android, another like a skin. Now, all of y'all cats like me who's into rooting phones and all that, we had Cyanogenmod since back in the days. Y'all remember Cyanogenmod 7, 8, 9. You had CM for the longest time. And this phone basically right here is a perfect phone for all of y'all cats that like Android phones and was always scared to root your phone. But then you look on videos and you see people with all these crazy themes and crazy icon packs and, certain stuff from when you go on Google Play Store, certain stuff will only work on rooted phones. You know that already. So now a lot of cats used to hit me up and they used to ask me about my themes and all of that. And I said, well, my phone is rooted and I'm running the CM on it. And, they would be scared to root the phones, or if you're just not into computers and all of that, then you couldn't get that. So this phone right here is basically like having a stock Android phone, but rooted. So as soon as I took this phone out the box and started playing with it, it immediately gave me that feel of playing with my old Nexus when I rooted it and I had the CM10 on the Nexus and I had all these flashy themes and all that. It's just the settings and everything that gives you that rooted feel. So CM is a definite go. So let's look around the phone real quick. Now, on the black version, this is the Sandstone Black. If you get let me try to get up close. You can see it has a textured feel to it. Now, I ain't going to say it feels like sandpaper. It's not as coarse as that, but it kind of feels like a soft version of sandpaper. It feels kind of rough. You have to feel it for yourself. It's not smooth. It's not slippery. It feels kind of rough. And that's just with the black one. The white version, you're going to get that smooth, glossy black. The smooth, glossy back. It's going to be white color, but it's going to have that smooth feel to it. If you get the black version, then you're going to have this sandpaper kind of feel to it. Now, keep in mind that OnePlus has a lot of different backs. If you go on their website, you see they got one that's kind of like denim, that looks like jeans. They have a wooden back, a bamboo, all kind of plastic ones. And keep in mind, if this phone sells, you're going to see 1,000 different backs start popping up all over the place. So the backs are interchangeable. Now, you can't take the battery out. So you got 3,100 milliamp battery is stuck in there, but you can change the back. And the good thing about it is when you change the back of it, you really won't see any other part of it. When you remove the back, you remove the whole back, not just a little, not just a little flap. The whole back cover comes off. So now if I was to put a wooden one on this, there would be no remnants of this black left at all. It would be straight wood. So you wouldn't even know that it had a black back from the beginning. So that's a good look right there. One thing I will say though, fresh out the box, let me give y'all some advice when you do get this phone, if you do get it. The best way to take off the back cover is use your SIM ejection tool, take out the SIM card slot, and then pull it out from there. Now, I hear other people say pull it from the bottom. So you could go like this and just, pull it from the bottom. I did that, and if you look close, I don't know if you can see, I kind of damaged the back of this a little bit. You see it's raised up a little bit? So I took the back off. I was looking at the back of the phone. Then I put the back cover back on, and I went to plug it in, and I was wondering why my charger wouldn't fit in. It's because this part right here was bent a little bit. You see it's a little bit bent? If I could try to stick it back in there. Now, the good thing about that is, okay, I mean, good and bad thing. The bad thing is that I bent it. But the good thing is that since the whole back changes, when I do, and of course I'm going to get a whole bunch of different back covers, when I do get another back cover, it's going to be a fresh, fresh cutout, so I won't have to worry about that. All right, now let's finish looking around the phone now. On the side, you got your power button. Now, these buttons are mad thin. Look close. The power button on it is really thin. Doesn't feel like the best quality. Got to keep it real with y'all. Doesn't feel like the best quality, but it works. It's a little thin button. It is what it is. On the bottom, now you got dual speakers. All right, now y'all heard me bitch and complain about this plenty of times on other phones. Why do they put the speaker on the back like on the Galaxy? I don't know. There's only two places that a speaker should be at on the phone, either on the front like the M8 or the bottom like this. Now, if you see the bottom of your iPhone, you got your dual speakers, but it's really not dual speakers. It's just one speaker, and it funnels the sound to the other side. This is actual dual speakers. Now, to keep it real with y'all, the speakers, audio version-wise, as far as bass, y'all know if y'all like bass and all that, these speakers ain't got no bass. I just got to say it just like that. They ain't really got no bass. So when you're playing music and all that, it's going to be nice and loud and all that, but no bass. All right, no bass on this, but when you plug some headphones in, I play with the audio tunes and all of that. Yeah, it sounds a lot better with headphones on. But just out of the box, if you take the phone, plug it in, turn it on, play some YouTube videos, play some music and all that, you're gonna be like, "Where's the bass at?" It's not there. All right, so you got your micro USB charger in the bottom, your dual speakers, you got a microphone. On the other side, you got your volume up and down, and you got your SIM card slot. Okay, now the volume up and down, same thing. Buttons are mad thin. Get close up on that. Buttons are really thin. It does have a nice click to it. If you can hear that. Has a nice click to it, so that kind of makes up for that flimsy, thin feeling to it. But personally, I like more pronounced buttons. I like my buttons a little bit thicker, a little bit more meatier. Whatever. If you look in the back of the phone, now you got your 13 megapixel camera with the flash. You get your OnePlus logo. Get some Cyanogenmod branding. Like I said, the back piece is removable. On the top of the phone, you got your 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. You got another microphone. On the front, you got your 5 megapixel camera with your sensor, and you got your earpiece. All right, on the bottom of the phone, now you got these touch capacitive buttons. Let's pull these up real quick. Now, one thing about the touch capacitive buttons, they don't light up that bright. Now, I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to tweak that in the future with settings and all that. Maybe you could even tweak it right now. But right now, the touch capacitive buttons aren't that bright. But this phone has something that no other phone has. It has the ability to switch from touch capacitive to on-screen buttons. So now you can switch up if you want. Matter of fact, let's throw that on there real quick. Let's go to settings. Right, we go to buttons. All right, so when you go to settings, go to your buttons. Let's see where it's at. I just seen it earlier. I was playing around with it. Wake up, reenter swap buttons. All right, here we go. Oh, no, that's not it. Okay, well, look. We'll get into that in the real review. Like I said, I just started playing with this phone. I actually just took it out today, started playing with it. But I know there's a way that you can switch to your on-screen buttons, whatever. You've seen that in other videos. Don't just watch my video. Watch a whole bunch of other videos. There it goes right there. All right, look. When you hit that button, now I have on-screen buttons instead of touch capacitive buttons. So now I can use those instead of having the, if you don't like using touch capacitive, then you can use these. And when you set these up, you can also customize these into different, you can add more on-screen buttons. Now, like I said, everybody who roots phones, all of y'all dudes, all y'all ladies that root phones, this is nothing new to y'all. You've seen that before. But all of y'all cats that never had a rooted phone, you're going to be blown away by some of the customizable features of this phone. And that's what sets Cyanogenmod and AOKP and all these other ROMs that you use. That's why people root their phones, because they want to customize the phone more than what the phone is going to be out of the box. So let's go to settings real quick, and I'll just give you an idea. Look at your settings. Now, when you go on your settings, when you go on your regular phone right now, whatever phone you got, you're not going to have all these settings. You got your homes, lock screen, themes, interface. When you go to themes, just go to themes first. Now you can change your icons, your styles, your wallpapers, and all of that. But it's so simple. So you go to theme packs. Now, if I want to change to a different theme, I can just hit update. Let's click on wallpapers and everything, update to the whole theme. Just like that. Now I can change my icons, change everything, one button. And that's the one thing I used to like about rooting phones. I haven't rooted a phone in a minute because I've just been, stocking it out. But one thing about rooting phones is you get to sit down and play with your phone and really make your phone your own phone. So if you look at some of my old videos when I have my Galaxy S4 with the blood red themes and all that, when you pull out your phone is going to look completely different from the next person right next to you who has that same phone. So that's the beauty of having this Cyanogenmod software. So I can only imagine that with updates and all that, this phone is going to, you probably won't need to root this phone. You're probably going to be able to root it if you want. But you won't really need to root it since it's already running Cyanogenmod. Everything that can be tweaked, they're going to allow you to tweak it. So that's automatically a good look right there. As far as the display and all of that, the display is right up there with the Galaxy. Now, I think my Galaxy S5, I don't know, I might have to say the display is a little bit better. But, that's just me. Not going by specs, not going by PPIs and pixel density and all of that, resolution. I'm talking about just looking at it with the naked eye. My Galaxy display looks a little bit better, but this actually looks better than the HTC display, and it looks better than my iPhone display. It just looks beautiful. Now keep in mind it's 5.5 inches, so it's pretty big. Let's put it down and put it next to some of the other phones that's out right now, just so you get a size comparison. So first off, let's do a size comparison with our good friend, the iPhone, which is basically on the way out the door because, we got the iPhone 6 coming out. So this phone is going to be out the door in a minute. But just for size comparison, that's what it looks like next to an iPhone. So this is a lot bigger than the iPhone, which is basically everything is bigger than the iPhone. Now, for one of my favorite phones out right now, which is probably my favorite phone, Htc M8. It's a lot taller. Let's put it side by side. It's a lot taller. It's a little bit thinner, but it can't compete with HTC as far as the build. This is the best built phone out right now out of anything in my opinion. This is probably my favorite phone. It's not my workhorse, it's not my beast phone, but this is my favorite phone I like to carry. Now my Galaxy Note, everybody knows that's my workhorse right there because I need that S Pen. All right, so that's how it looks next to that. Next to Galaxy S5. As you can see, this phone is the OnePlus One is a tall phone. So it's going to be taller than basically a lot of the phones that's out right now, but it's very thin. Now, is it thinner than the Galaxy? I would say a little bit. Maybe it's about the same, a little bit about the same. Now, with the OnePlus, you do have this metal trim around it, so it does give it a nice feel. For the price, $300 and $350, this is a quality build. Now, the Galaxy is going to cost you double that, and it just doesn't feel like it's worth that. The Galaxy now, don't get me wrong, you get used to this cheap kind of plasticky feel and all that, but it doesn't feel like a $750 phone. Actually, this OnePlus One feels like if you didn't know the price and somebody just gave you both of these phones to hold, you would think that this OnePlus costs more than the Galaxy. Just by feeling it. It feels lighter and thinner, but it just has a more quality build feel to it. Now, next to my Galaxy Note, Can't really compare it right now because I got my 011 battery, so we can't go with thickness. But as far as size-wise, they're almost about the same screen size. Now, this is my workhorse phone right here. This is a phone that I'm using daily, all day, every day. I'm using the S Pen. I got this big, giant, ridiculous battery on it. So this phone lasts me 2 days straight. That's why I rock this as my main phone. But it is what it is. Now, next to something like HTC One Max. Now, the One Max is still bigger than this. But, thickness-wise, I would say the OnePlus is a little bit thinner. But as far as specs-wise, the OnePlus has the HTC Max beat. Right now, few features on this OnePlus that I'm definitely digging right out the box. It has the double tap feature. So you can double tap to wake up the screen. All right, so when the screen is off, you double tap it and you wake it up. Now, you have a few gestures also. Now, I'm pretty sure with updates, they're going to have a lot more gestures. But right off the back, you draw a circle on the phone and it automatically activates the camera. And the camera on this does take pretty good pictures. Let's just snap a quick picture real quick. Quick picture real quick. Okay? Takes good pictures. Easy camera and interface. When you want to scroll through, all you got to do is scroll through all your different modes. You got steady photo, night, action, slow shutter, beauty mode, smart scene, HDR, auto. And like I said, this shoots in 4K. So let's go to the settings real quick. When you go to video, you got 4K video, but you also got 4K DCI. Now, we'll get into all of that in the rear review. I'm not going to go through all the camera features and specs and all. This is basically just unboxing, just first impressions. But right off the top, I'm definitely feeling the camera interface. It's very simple. It kind of reminds me of a Nexus. It's easy to use. Also, let's talk about one more gesture that's kind of tough that I've basically been using since last night, since I opened this up. The flashlight. You draw a V on the phone and it automatically opens up the flashlight. So all you got to do is draw a V on the screen. You see it's off right now. So I draw a V, turn the flashlight on. All right, so that's a hot little feature right there. My camera's zooming in all over the place. All right, so that's a tough little feature right there. So fresh out the box, on a scale of 1 to 10, is this phone a flagship killer? Is this phone worth the $300? Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, y'all know that I don't use numbers. On a scale of 1 to 10, this is a go. This is a win. Is it a flagship killer? Well, when I do the real review, we'll get into it because I got to use it a little bit more heavy. But right out the box, specs, the price, the build quality, the software, this phone is definitely causing problems right now for a lot of the phones that's out right now. If I was in the market to buy a brand new phone, it would be hard for me to justify passing this phone for $350 with 64 gigs of internal storage to go out and get a Galaxy S5, you know, for $750, $800 just because it has fingerprint scanner and it has, you know, heart rate monitor. You know, it has a couple of more gimmicks. It has the split screen, you know, split screen multitasking and all that. Look, that stuff to me, some of it is cool. Some of it is kind of gimmicky. I would pass. If I had to choose right now between the S5 and the OnePlus One, without a doubt, I'd take the OnePlus One. Now, if I had to choose between the OnePlus One and something like a Galaxy Note, that's another story. Because now you got the S Pen, so that helps with the multitasking. Not only just multitasking, but the S Pen sets the phone apart from everything else on the market right now. So I don't really like to compare phones with my Galaxy Note, because if a phone doesn't have the S Pen, it really can't compare to me, because I use my S Pen a lot. I'm writing notes. I'm doing stuff on my S Pen all day, every day. So if a phone doesn't have an S Pen, I really can't compare it. So, but now comparing it to other phones that's out, like HTC M8, look, that's up to you now. HTC M8, at least you could justify the price because of the build. You know, that build quality. If you're a person that doesn't like to use cases on phones and you just want a solid phone that has a, you know, beautiful build, because keep in mind, half of the phone is holding it. You know, you're not just using the phone, you got to actually hold it. So if you want to, it's something that you're going to actually be holding and, you know, basically using as a everyday tool, part of your life, you definitely want it to have a nice build quality. So if you had something that had all the same specs as all these high-end phones, but it was cheap plastic and it felt like garbage, it wouldn't matter if you save $100 or $200. You'd rather just spend that and get that beautiful build quality. At least you're gonna, you're gonna feel like you got your money's worth, and you're gonna have that good feeling about your phone. With this phone right here, $350, the build on it. Now I can see myself definitely getting rid of this back. Don't get me wrong, I like the sandpaper kind of feel, I like the sandstone kind of back, but I could definitely feel this better if they come out with maybe an aluminum back. Now, if they come out with an aluminum back, forget about it. Forget about it. That's going to be sick. But I can also see the wooden back. I can also see, some other different styles. Maybe even a denim one, just to play around, switch up styles every day, whatever. Maybe I'll get all of them. Why not? I'm not really feeling this one too much, but I don't hate it. I would prefer the glossy finish, or I prefer an aluminum back. I don't hate this one, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I have to grow on me. A lot of this stuff, it takes time to grow on you. Like I said, the speakers on the bottom, fresh out the box, they sound nice and loud, no bass though. All right, so if you buying this phone and you plan on getting the dock and playing music out of the phone, you're going to be lacking on the bass. So you better be rocking that classical music. Don't try to come out with some hardcore hip-hop music or some, club banging music and all that. You ain't going to have no bass. So like I said, fresh out the box, on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm giving this a win. It's, as far as flagship killer, I wouldn't say it's killing flagships, because it's not actually better than a lot of these flagships. It's right up there at the top. So it's a flagship equalizer. I wouldn't call it a flagship killer. I would call it a flagship equalizer. But as far as the price, though, it's definitely killing with the price. It's definitely killing everything else with the price, except for the Nexus. And a lot of people, especially people like me, if you don't like stock Android, stock boring Android, then you kind of passed on the Nexus. The Nexus is a good stock Android phone. It's a nice work phone. If you got another phone like a Galaxy that you're going to use as your play phone, then you get a nice stock Nexus. Just do the basic stuff. That's all you need. But like I said, as far as flagship killing, this phone, the price is definitely killing other phones out right now with the price. $350 for 64 gig. You can't beat that. All right, so on a scale of 1 to 10, this is a win. Like I said, now when I do the real review, we'll get into all of the features. I'll put it to the test daily. Now, all of my phones that you see on the table right now are connected with Verizon and Sprint. So with this phone right here, I'm connecting it to T-Mobile. So I got a T-Mobile SIM card. I'm getting ready to drop in there right now. So we're going to take this outside and we're going to get busy with it. I'm going to use it for, right now I'm going to just take maybe like a $70, $60 T-Mobile plan, just so I have enough I can really beast out on it. Matter of fact, let me see, because I don't even know which, does it say on the box? I don't know, but I got this T-Mobile bullshit right here. So I'm going to do this month-to-month T-Mobile plan, just because that's how thirsty I was for this phone. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't going to sit around and wait to see if they produce one for, non-GSM carriers. I wasn't going to wait for that, so I decided to just go month-to-month with T-Mobile, just because I want to be in the mix and I want to be playing with this joint. But fresh out the box, y'all know I keep it 100 with y'all all the time. This is a win right here. All right, this is totally worth the price. Now, somebody was trying to get on me before because I said the Htc M8. I said, okay, I bought this one for $700. It felt like it was worth the price for me. A lot of people say no phone should be that much money. Well, you got to wake up and, get into the real world. That's how much phones cost. So if you're going to pay that price, then you got to have, you got to justify it. So this phone right here, to me, yeah, $700 is expensive, but it's definitely worth it to me. Something I can say that wasn't worth it to me was buying the iPhone 5 64 gig for almost $1,000. That really wasn't worth it for me. The iPhone doesn't do enough to justify that price. Now, yeah, it's the most trendy phone out. You got the gold one, you had the same phone as Kim Kardashian and Beyonce, you know what I'm saying? You got the phone that all of the celebrities got, this is a nice trendy phone, so you're paying for the trendiness. You're paying for the Apple ecosystem and all that. But to me, it's not worth the $850 plus tax. You buy a case and all that, you're looking at basically $1,000. Not worth it for this. $700 for the M8. Yeah, it's still kind of steep, but I got my money's worth. $350 for this. I could go out and buy all accessories under the sun. I could spend about another $200 worth of accessories, buy a bunch of different back plates, buy maybe like some type of... Let's see what kind of cases come out in the future, but we get some cases and all that. We get a screen protector. One thing I forgot to mention, this says it has Corning Gorilla Glass on it. So does that mean don't put a screen protector on it? That's your choice, because I've had other phones in the past that have Gorilla Glass, and I've seen them get scratched and scuffed. So just because the phone has Gorilla Glass doesn't mean you don't need a screen protector. But this phone does have Gorilla Glass. But what I was saying, you could spend $200, get all the back plates, get a screen protector, get a couple of cases and all that, and it still be cheaper than buying one M8 or one Galaxy S5 off contract. So that's where it's definitely killing flagship status. As far as specs and build quality and all that, it's flagship equalizer. All right, so it's equal to flagship. I wouldn't say it's killing anything right now, because personally, I like the buttons better on my M8. You see, you got those, the buttons are thin, but they just feel better. Has a better feel to it. You got to play with this for yourself. These buttons feel a little bit flimsy. Now, not cheap, but just flimsy. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to explain. They don't feel cheap. It don't feel like garbage, but it definitely doesn't feel like, all right, if somebody were trying to sell me this phone right here for $800, it would be like, all right, you know, it feels a little bit leery. It feels a little bit flimsy. Even on phones like your Galaxy, the buttons are thin, but they're thick. You know, thin and thick. The Galaxy is plastic, but you could feel it. It has a quality feel to it. It doesn't feel too cheap, even though it feels like cheap materials, but it doesn't feel like a cheaply made phone. This OnePlus One, it definitely feels like, it feels a little bit subpar as far as build quality. Now, don't get me wrong, $350, I ain't complaining. You can't complain either, especially if you get a 16 gig for $300. This is the phone right here you get now. Fellas, ladies, I'm talking to y'all right now. If you got kids and you want to get your kid a nice phone, instead of going out now and buying a used Galaxy S3 or a used Galaxy S4 that somebody's selling on Craigslist for $250 or $300, get this. All right, if you're in a tight budget, get this. If you got a whole bunch of other phones and you just want another phone to have, throw a little T-Mobile SIM card and have a little throwaway phone, get this. All right, fellas, you looking for that phone to stash in the car? You know what I'm talking about? Get a little T-Mobile SIM card, get a little AT&T SIM card, slap it in here, and leave this phone in the car. $350 or $300. This is a perfect throwaway phone. You know what I'm talking about? This is a perfect having a cut phone. Put it in the car, leave it in the gym, leave it in the office, leave it at work. You know, cats that be doing dirt. You know what I'm talking about. This is a perfect phone for that because of the price, and you still getting quality specs. All right, so we're going to do a camera test. We're going to do a whole bunch of other tests and all that. I use it for a whole week, and I'm going to get back to y'all with the real review quicker than I normally do. Now, a lot of people have been asking me for invites and all that. I don't have any invites. You know, I did get a little hookup, so I don't want to blow up the poor person who hooked me up, but I did get a little hookup with an invite, you know, all that. So I try to get a few more to give them out to my dudes, but it's a no-go on that. But I did look at some other companies are selling them right now. They added an extra $100 because, you know, if you don't want to wait for the invite, then you got to do what you got to do. So if you go on Google and search on the OnePlus One if you want to buy one, there's a few companies selling them right now. They want $450 for the 64 gig and they want $400 for the 16 gig, which is still a good price. If you don't feel like sitting around waiting for an invite, if you're sitting around right now with some old school Nexus from back in the days, or you got some old HTC Evo, or, you know what I'm saying, the Evo 3D from a couple of months, you know, a couple of years ago, or if you got some old school phone that's just beat down and raggedy and you don't feel like waiting, then spend that extra $100 and buy it off contract, you know, buy it from one of these other third-party websites instead of waiting for the invite, because I don't know how long it's going to be before they start mass producing these. All right, so like I said, I get to y'all with the review next week, and we'll go through all of the features, and we'll go through all of the what I don't like and what I do like, and we'll get into. All right, so all in all, though, overall, the phone is a definite go. The phone is a win. The phone is worth getting. All right, so that's basically it. It's definitely a go. Shout out to everybody that rock with me on Facebook, Foursquare, Twitter, Google+. Shout out to all the Google gangsters. I see y'all holding down that Facebook page. Shout out to everybody hitting me up on Voxer. And a special shout out to everybody rocking with me on Instagram. Y'all know that's where I'm at full time, 100% full throttle. It's your boy Floss. I'm going to catch with y'all on the next trip. Oh yeah, by the way, fellas, ladies, say it with me. All y'all haters, all y'all trolls, go eat a fucking dick. It's your boy Floss. I'm out. Deuces.